Sorry.
Thick smoke has billowed from a building at the premises of the National Agency for Food, Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, located in Oshodi, Lagos. The fire is said to have started from a generator and spread to a store. The extent of damage done to the building could not be immediately ascertained, as our crew was not allowed access to the affected scene. Men of the fire service, though, from the Lagos State Response Unit were seen battling to put out the inferno. A spokesperson of the agency, however, told Channels Television that the fire was prevented from spreading beyond the store.
The lab area is not affected. Even most of our staff, the director of the lab, the engineers, directors, most of them are here. Today is the weekend, but they're all here to make sure everything is under control. The Lagos State Fire Service, you can see, has helped us to put everything in control. The fire started from the generating section of NAFDAC and has extended to the store. And for now, that's the only place affected.
A shadow of doubt recently cast upon two widely consumed soft drinks in Nigeria has raised questions around how much of the needed health information are made available to Nigerians. Although the Federal Ministry of Health has passed a vote of confidence on these products, as at the time of this report, the Standards Organization of Nigeria is yet to provide to Channels Television the information on when the current approved levels of preservatives used in soft drinks in the country were set, and if they have ever been reviewed. Our correspondent Yomi Otaigbe reports.
The second defendant shall forthwith mandate the first defendant to, within 90 days from the date thereof, include on all the bottles of Fanta and Sprite soft drinks manufactured by the first defendant a written warning that the contents of the said bottles of Fanta and Sprite soft drinks cannot be taken with vitamin C, as same becomes poisonous if taken with vitamin C. This is part of the judgment of the Lagos High Court in an almost 9-year-old case involving two claimants on the one hand and the Nigerian Bottling Company alongside the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, on the other hand, over the safety levels of preservatives in these soft drinks compared to what is obtained in the United Kingdom. This news has sown seeds of concern in the minds of some Nigerians.
Our authorities should be up and doing. They should not just take human's life for granted.
I think government should at least check other products that are similar to it.
Standard Organization of Nigeria, NAFDAC, should regulate these bodies as specified. So whatever consumers consume, the end product users, should be safeguarded.
The reaction of NAFDAC to the issue is contained in a text message, and it reads, NAFDAC is a scientific regulatory authority and will react both scientifically and legally on the matter at hand. Our lawyer has filed an appeal and a motion to stay execution of action on the judgment. Channels Television visited the office of the Standards Organization of Nigeria, SON, the body saddled with certain requirements for the production of soft drinks in Nigeria. We could not get any official to speak to us on camera, but in a document sent via email from the organization's communications department, the maximum level of benzoic acid in a soft drink is 300 milligram per kilogram without ascorbic acid and 250 milligram per kilogram when it's combined with ascorbic acid. However, a press release from the Federal Ministry of Health supports the claim by the Nigerian Bottling Company that the level of benzoic acid in Fanta and Sprite produced in the country are in compliance with both the Codex and Nigerian standards, taking into consideration environmental and distribution conditions. For the President of the Nutrition Society of Nigeria, there is no cause for alarm.
Experiments that have been done with animals show that when it is as high as 2 grams per kilogram body weight of the rat, it becomes lethal. That it can lead to the death of that rat. What researchers have noted is that nobody will consume up to 0.02% of that 2 grams in human body. The reason is that this benzoic acid, it easily permeates the lining of the digestive tract and gets its way to the liver, where it is converted to a more soluble form and it can easily be excreted.
He, however, sounds a note of warning that under certain conditions, some of these preservatives can become unhealthy.
But it is possible for benzoic acid to react with vitamin C, or what we call ascorbic acid, to produce a chemical called benzene. Benzene is a carcinogen. It can cause cancer. But the conditions required for this to take place are quite stringent. Number one, there must be enough heat. Number two, there should be maybe ultraviolet light and then metallic ions.
What most Nigerians may not know is that benzoic acid and other additives that serve as preservatives are found in some other processed foods, such as cosmetics, canned or packed foods, and as edible coatings. A professor of biochemistry at the College of Medicine, University of Lagos, Osariti Ebohi, explains that a lot more needs to be done by health authorities in Nigeria in terms of research into these preservatives.
Due to some health concerns, there has been some years or times when some additives have been reported to become carcinogenic. And some countries take some very strict measures to reduce the amount of these additives in their food products. I will say that we may need to step up a little bit as to carrying out more research in our preservatives, and then seeing how from time to time we can either remove some from our list, because there are quite a number of them, or completely even reduce the quantity with which we add.
Although the Federal Ministry of Health in its press statement encouraged all soft drink bottling companies in Nigeria to insert advisory warnings on all products as necessary, Professor Eboyi advises Nigerians on how best to take medicines.
Our drugs are chemicals, so why using chemical again to take another chemical? So the best liquid we really need to use, or that is recommended anywhere in the world, should be water. Potable water. When that is taken, that is the best.
While Nigerians do their part by ensuring that they take more than a passing interest in their health, the Federal Ministry of Health and other health agencies in Nigeria need to provide more health information to the people so that Nigerians can make informed choices. Yomi Otaigwe reporting for Channels Television News.
From that present situation to another one, Nigeria's inflation rate fell in February to 17.78% from 18.72% in January, a situation described by the National Bureau of Statistics as the worst and lowest in the past 15 months. Well, this next report takes a look at how the new inflation figures affects prices of foodstuff items amidst the economic recession. Our correspondent Victoria Edo reports.
2016, Nigeria officially entered a recession for the first time in more than 2 decades. Food items which are essential for survival shot through the roof. Since then, the fiscal and monetary policy authorities have been looking for ways to get Nigerians out of this predicament. But before that is achieved, have you ever wondered, how are Nigerians coping? According to the National Bureau of Statistics, Nigeria's headline inflation has declined 17.78% year-on-year in February from 18.72% posted in January. For the man in the streets, how significant is this drop on the prices of food items? Let's take rice, for example.
It went down. I was selling 18,500. I was selling 19,000 naira. So now you're down happy now.
Unfortunately, rice is not the only item we need at home. I met Mrs. Rachel Okorafo at the Begum retail market. We followed her through the markets to see firsthand if the cost of food item has reduced. This is what we found when we stopped at a crayfish stall. The cost of a paint container of crayfish used to sell for 1,500 naira, but now
3,000. Hey, Oga, why is it this expensive?
Some 20 meters down the line is another stall where Rachel realizes that it's not only the cost of seafoods that have not been affected by the decline in inflation.
Why is it this expensive?
That's what we say, everything, don't pay everything. This thing before is 200 naira.
This particular seasoning, is it imported?
No, it's Nigeria now.
Why is it this expensive?
I don't know, my
Are we not the one mixing it and making it?
Palm oil, Nigeria palm oil. Now it's 500 naira. Before it's 200 naira, 150.
It's been a very stressful day for Rachel, but in the end, she has just one consolation.
Thank God I even have money to even buy the little I can. What of some people that don't have money at all to buy any?
Now, Gary is a very important source of carbohydrates in Nigeria. Now, let's see how much a pint of Gary goes for.
Last year, everything is very okay. But Gary cost last year, not like this year. Last year, you said Gary, yes, 600 naira. You gave 700 naira. Look, this year, that's 1,000 naira.
And only one question arises. How do we get out of this situation?
If there's a major crisis in terms of the gap between your supply and your demand and your domestic capacity to produce and your domestic consumption capacity, there has to be a way to temporarily bridge the gap so that the kind of pain and cries that the citizens are complaining about food items, you can bridge it through that as a temporary measure.
The overhead cost of food and transportation has left people believing that until the government takes drastic steps to rein in the situation, Nigerians will continue to live in hardship.
The country is getting worse and worse daily. Understand? Like a pint of garina that they used to sell 600 before. Today, 1,000. I couldn't buy you.
I will now appeal to those money bags who have consumed a lot of Nigerian money to please step it down. Bring some of this money back into the purse so that the government can make use of the money.
The impact of the current decline in inflation rate may not be noticeable for now in retail prices of goods and services. But there is optimism that if the figures continue southwards, the inflation rate may eventually impact positively on the prices of goods and services. Victoria Idowu, reporting for Channels Television News.
You're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television live from Lagos. Let's quickly shift gears now, shall we, to business news with Millicent Morka.
Many thanks, Kimber. Welcome to Business News. And it's a mixed bag as we begin with the S&P Global Ratings that has affirmed its B long and short-term sovereign credit ratings on Nigeria's economy. Well, the ratings agency says it expects the country to achieve real gross domestic product growth of 1.5% in 2017 and 3.4% on the average from 2017 to 2020. S&P adds that despite external financing pressures, it expects increasing oil production and government's capital expenditures to support Nigeria's economic growth rate and export revenues over the next 3.5 years. And the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria is scheduled to hold its second rate-setting meeting for 2017 next week. At the two-day meeting in Abuja, analysts expect the committee to hold rates at the current levels. Investors are also waiting to see if the central bank will adopt a more flexible exchange rate regime after it devalued the retail rate by around 20% last month. At its last meeting in January, the MPC left all key rates unchanged. And that's business news at this time. Many thanks for watching. I'm Millicent Nwaka. It's back to Gimba.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Rivers United's quest to reach the group phase of CAF Champions League ends with a 4-3 aggregate loss to Sudanese club Al-Marek. That's on Sports News. Stay with us.